I've been doing a lot of introspection, thought, trying to sift through all these thoughts, ideas, etc. Evaluate all the data I'm taking in, because it just feels like at this point in time, I'm speaking to you in September of 22, it just feels like it just gets crazier and crazier, and in an odd way, it's almost addicting, or at least enticing, to just see how crazy some of this stuff is. Like, I get on Twitter for like a hot second and like reading replies or responses to something, and I'm just like, this is insanity. Like, at all levels, how do you rationalize it, make any sense of it? And then, I think through and I'm like, what I want to do is I want to create content. I want to put content out that's useful and valuable for other people, and then redeem some of that value in some sort of ask, some sort of, the way that I monetize it now, redeeming value, besides like just good karma and just like spreading ideas that I want these ideas to win. Been working on the ideas of freedom, liberty, libertarian ideas, anarchical capitalism, etc. Like these type of ideas that I just want to be broader based, better understood. So in a good karma way, but you have to monetize things so that you can grow things, so that you can add people to a team, so that you can do more content, so you can create more for your viewers. And so the way I do that is I do that through coaching. I sell time through that, which is okay. It's not super scalable. Just recently started a Kulak Club. You can send me an email below. It's going to be a bi-weekly meeting. Yeah, it's bi-weekly. It's every Thursday evenings, every other Thursday. It's a Zoom meeting, and then it's posted up into a Dropbox situation, which will actually be on one of my servers. And then there's a group chat, a private group chat, so that there's daily interaction. Guys can share information, stuff like that. It's a networking, brainstorming group, which I'm excited about doing. So I'm like adding value there and just basically focusing on that being like those guys in that group being my sole focus as to like how can I serve these guys and come up with ideas that then hopefully scale. So they say, you scale by doing the things that don't scale. Sending your buddies a text message, see how they're doing, what can you do for them, etc., etc. So I'm in this montage, if you will, of feeling as though we're sort of in a twilight limbo zone right now. I feel like there's something epic, something huge, something right around the corner, something that, I'm gonna like look back at these days and be like, oh, do you remember you had all that time and things were relatively easy? You might have to deal with a few things, but things are relatively easy. Now it's not as easy, but now there's mission. And I know that sounds really weird and abstract, and maybe you're feeling that too. Maybe you can throw that down in the comments and be like, yeah, I'm tracking with that. But it's like, as an entrepreneur, at least I have this weird dichotomy, because I think naturally I'm just inclined to be an entrepreneur. I've been like that my entire life. When I was younger, looking back at it, I kind of would say I was bipolar on a lot of ideas. I was super hot on stuff, super cold on stuff. I was all about stuff, and like as I got older, I learned mainly through business books and podcasts and whatnot. But entrepreneurs go through this uninformed optimism. Like, hey, I got this idea, it's gonna be great. And then if we can just get 1% of the market, that whole pitch. And then they go through informed pessimism. So they try the idea out, they get going, they run into some roadblocks, they realize like some of the stuff that they initially thought that were assumptions, become realities, and you have to kind of reassess, kind of like the scientific process. You got a hypothesis, you go out there and do the experiment, you get the data back, you have a variable, control group, and then you're just trying to get the answer key. You're trying to figure it out. And if you and I were building, say, Facebook in 2006, one of those things that worked for that platform was the like button. Another one of those things was the tag. Like when you could tag a photo. I remember being in my buddy's dorm in 2007 at FSU in not Kellum Hall, in Landis Green. That's where we were, in Landis Green, which is like the gifted honors kids. Like, my buddy was super smart. Like, I think he missed 2 questions on the SAT. Anyways, at FSU, and he's like, bro, we gotta get back to my dorm. I gotta see if this chick tagged me. And I was like, what, dude? Like, what are you talking about? He's like, yo, it's this thing, Facebook thing. It's for college guys. I was in high school at the time. I was just visiting him. I spent my spring break at FSU because, like, why not? Like, when you're in high school and you got buddies in college, you're like, let's go to FSU. And he's like, yeah, man, I gotta see if she tagged me, man. And, oh, man, she liked my photo and stuff like that. And I was like, what is going on right now? And anyway, he was addicted to this platform. And I was never really into video games. I was never into that stuff. Like, and then my buddies got good at that stuff. And then at that point, I was like, well, I'm getting smoked now. Like, a Mario Kart, I had to figure it out. GoldenEye, kind of figured out. Once we got past that, and you guys went on to Halo and stuff, I was out. I was like, yo, I don't even know what's going on anymore. Like, I drove around the Warthog thing one time, and then after that, like, it just kept getting smoked, and it was not fun. So I was like, all right, I'm out on the video game thing. And I always like to go do stuff. Like, I'm a guy that likes to go out and, like, I like to mess with atoms. I like to go build things. I like to torch on things, grind on things, weld on things, like ride things, drive things. I like to just do that. I like things. And some people, you know, are I'm seeing it now. Like, some people like to control things and atoms and like put them together, and other people like to control people. And I don't like to do hardly really anything with organizing people. So this is the entrepreneurial side, where I always rely on managers and people in my previous businesses that were larger than the one I have now. I just rely on that. Like, I'm just like, yeah, I gotta hire one or two good guys that know how to manage people, because I'm not into managing people. I'm not into controlling people. Like, it's not my thing. But at this point in time, I am trying. I don't want to say struggling. But I'm struggling in a way to figure out how can I create the most value for the most people and monetize that and scale that. Something I'm really genuinely thinking about. Now, this is the dichotomy I was alluding to earlier. Naturally, I'm inclined to be an entrepreneur. I see these issues like food, and I'm like, all right, let's fix it. Let's make this happen. I see energy issues. I'm like, dudes, there's so many things we could do with melting plastics down, turning it into diesel fuel, and like, there's so many things we could do. We could like run cars on electricity. Essentially, they're already doing this. And like, what happened to diesel electric? Like, why aren't we running like 25 horsepower diesels and like powering electric motors and getting better like drivetrain performance and everything, but like you're still petroleum based, but now you can run on biodiesel, you can run on plastics, you can do all these things. Like, I'm into all this stuff and I want to go do that stuff, and it's just like, nope, not right now. Like, for whatever reason, like it's just not the time. Like, I've messed with biodiesel for a long time, and the EPA is just like, yeah, guess what, man? We're putting DEF fluid on all these trucks. And then you see, oh, well, we can take the DEF fluid off. And then you have like, oh man, you'll go to jail if you do that. You delete your trucks, you're going to jail. And it's just like, man, we keep going down this path, making stuff crappier and crappier. Like, we just stayed with like the BT4 Cummins or the 5.9 Cummins or the 7.3 or the Detroits or any of these things, and just like diesel electrics, man. Like just go forward in life. And anyway, so I feel like that's on the cusp. Like, we're going to get to an event where people are like, I just want the lights to work. I just want food to be there. I just want energy to be relatively affordable. And the entrepreneurial part of me is excited about that. The investor side of me is investing and being an entrepreneur almost completely opposite. One of them looks at things optimistically, like, oh, what can we build? What can we create? Let's go out there and fail like 500 times. Who cares? Let's just keep doing this until we win. Perseverance, grit. Like, you're not going to beat me in a match because, like, you keep knocking me down. I'm just going to get up, punch you in the face again. Like, it's just how I do it. Like, there's a wall, I'm going to smash through it. If it takes longer, fine. We're still going to smash through that wall. Like, that's just how I do life. Unfortunately, it's been a harder path for me. But, like, my brother is like electricity. He takes the pathway of least resistance. Whatever is the easiest thing, you can count my brother is doing it. And he does really well. Like, he's definitely outperforming me right now, like, monetarily. But in an investing sense, I smoke him because I've got a totally different mental model on things. I'm looking at things and like, what can happen risk-wise? What is reality? I mean, he called me up the other day and he's like, yeah, I think we're gonna see a little market dip. I'm gonna grab some Apple stock. And I'm like, okay. Like, that is the one company that produces all of their stuff in China. That is the one, like, you don't touch that. Like, anyway, going down a path there. So I'm looking at how do I create the most value for the most amount of people. The process I'm beginning to do is the Kulak Group which is an email below. You can get up in that. That is a process that doesn't scale, but you scale by doing things that don't scale. So through that, I'm going to be serving these guys, putting a lot of my time and focus into that. Ideally, if it monetizes enough, and it's a $79 a month thing, by the way. If it monetizes enough, I will figure out the next phase. How do we scale this data, this information that I am curating, that I'm putting together? But as far as a content thing, putting out just daily videos, it's been one of my things. I want to just do daily videos, and I get distracted or just swept up into my other business operations. That's why I have one of them for sale now, and it's like we're close to the end of the year, and I'm looking through everything, and I'm like, if I can reduce off my deck, like just don't need to do this, don't need to do this, sell this, sell this, sell this, like just get down to a very minimalistic lifestyle, take several steps backwards in a way so that I can make a giant leap forward and ideally bring people with me. Because I think that we are just on the cusp of huge things, and I'm positive about it. But when you look at just the insanity that is around the planet, it makes me want to just go out to the woods, live in a cabin, and hang out. And that's it. Like just read books and mess with all sorts of generators and make electricity and just like research and learn and perfect the process of creating alternative fuels and do all that stuff, but just isolated in the woods in a cabin. I was telling one of my other brothers about that, and he's like, dude, you basically already live like that. And I'm like, that is true, but I'm still close enough to town where I'm still pretty close to town. And he's like, so what are you gonna do, like go out to Wyoming or Montana and just be in the woods? I'm like, I don't know, man. It sounds appealing. It sounds super appealing, but at the same time, I know that's not a super viable option. Maybe it is. Maybe that is the right answer. Like, just get out of Dodge, just get out to Montana, and just read a bunch of books and come back to society later. But at the same time, the entrepreneurial part of me wants to just see how this goes. Like, what happens when Europe has no energy? It's not a recession, folks. Like, it's not a depression. Like, you're gonna need a new word for this one. And it's fascinating. But at the same time, I think, man, there's so many things we could be doing. We could be making algae biodiesel. We need we could be using the wastewater treatment plants. We could be recycling that into algae and then crushing that into biodiesel and then whipping it through centrifuges. And like, this isn't a hard thing to figure out. And then firing up generators and powering up it's not a hard thing to figure out. But at the same time, I'm at a spot where I live in the Western world where these government lizard people, like, you just, I guess, have to wait them out or wait until the plebs are so angry that they go crazy and do crazy stuff and like overthrow their lords, I guess. I don't know. So anyway, a little bit of a rant, but I thought I should probably just level with the audience and just be like, this is kind of what's been going through my head, through my stomach in a way, kind of your second brain there. Kind of like, I'm uneasy about a few things. I don't want to be out of action and in inaction or just in a spot of reaction. I want to be anticipating. I want to be capitalizing in a way. But I don't know how best to do it. And it just seems, and it's so weird, if it just seems that everything has to kind of fall. Like, you just have to, in a way, just step back and just be like, yo, this can't catch it. Like, there's nothing I can do. Like, just yield to just allowing market forces and reality to hit. So I'll leave you guys with this one quote. This is from Ayn Rand, really interesting philosopher. She wrote a book called Atlas Shrugged. We are in the beginning chapters of Atlas Shrugged. There is no doubt about it. She wrote this really great quote. And it is, you can ignore reality. You cannot ignore the consequences of ignoring reality. And that is what the EU and California and many places around the world are now seeing. This inflation, this is all the things that we're now seeing. You cannot just print things out of thin air and expect everything to be okay and peachy. You cannot isolate half of your society and just expect everything to be just peachy. You You can't just continue to erode resources and expect everything to be just peachy. But what can you do while you're watching this unfold? And hence why I'm trying to bring in my guys, my core team of guys, and be like, okay, there's a lot of opportunity that I see. Strategize sessions on how do we come out of this just absolutely crushing it like the Kennedy family did in the 30s, because I genuinely think, yeah, we're right here at the late part of the 20s. So anyway, guys, hope you are just having an awesome month and getting everything wrapped up for the year. And until the next video, I will see you down in the comments. Peace.